All right, so got the recording going, and thanks again for joining. So glad to hear that all of you had a great Thanksgiving. So now we are in the final stretch of our Avon year. I cannot even believe that we have just one campaign left. It's crazy. Don't forget double dollars, right? All right,
Yeah.
so we are in our planning module where we turn your goals into reality. You have already set your SMART goals, right, in the previous module for you and your Avon business, but let's take the next step and make those goals a reality. And with a good plan, you will be sure to do the right stuff with the time that you dedicate to your Avon business. So this module is going to help you become organized. There's going to be a lot of analyzing and a lot of internalizing. But good planning and time management, it's just going to allow you to accomplish more in a shorter period of time, which leads to more free time, which lets you take advantage of learning opportunities. It's going to lower your stress and it's going to help you focus, which leads to more success in your business. And then each benefit of planning and time management, it just improves another aspect of your life. So in the chat box, let me know, or if you just want to say out loud, does that sound good?
Yep. Yep.
Yay! Well, great. Let's go ahead and get started. So this is our agenda tonight. The O in BOSS stands for outreach. Then we're going to talk about planning to grow your team, plan your Avon time, plan the right balance of activities, prioritize and gain control, and then plan to take action, and the 2-week calendar. The module's all about the O in BOSS, which is outreach. And part of your plan will include your outreach, which is, who do you need to know to achieve your goals and what do you need to do to meet new people? And as you know, this is it's the business of being, with people and reaching out and making new connections. So this business is a people business, so you need to plan your outreach. So when we last talked, and I'm sure that Kim had similar discussions with her team as well, you said that growing your team was one of your goals, and for some of you, it was your main focus. So today, let's begin by talking about how you can plan to grow your team. So we all know we can grow our team in 2 ways. We can recruit new representatives to join us, right? And we can help some of our current representatives in our downlines to achieve leader title. And of course, when they achieve leader title, they have to bring new people onto their team. So it's going to build your team as well. So let's start by discussing how we can find people to join Avon. So I want you to share, what are some of the best ways you find people to join your team? Don't be shy.
Like talking to everyone I meet when I'm out and about.
Perfect. And when you least expect it, somebody's going to talk to you. You may not even have Avon on your mind. You may, be carrying something that has Avon on it, wearing an Avon T-shirt or something. When you least expect it, somebody's even going to talk to you. So, but yeah, so you need to talk to everybody. So thanks for sharing that. Anybody else?
I put stickers on the thing.
So you put stickers on your books?
Yep.
Yep. It's always a good thing. You always want your customers to know that you're interested in having them on your team if they make that decision to go that route. You don't want them to contact Avon or go on to startavon.com or avon.com and sign up without them being connected to you. So putting the stickers on your books and making them aware that you're open to having them join you is a good thing. Anybody else?
If you have a Facebook group, advertising that.
Yep, social media. I think it's the hot new way to recruit, is through social media. So many contacts, people, friends of friends, and sharing your information. Certainly you can get a lot of mileage out of that. So good ideas. Anybody else? Okay, I think that we had a lot there, so we'll move on. All right, so in order to find your next team members, you need to talk to people you already know. We call them your warm market, right? So the people you know is your warm market. And in addition, it's important to find opportunities to connect with new people. Remember, every interaction is an opportunity to grow your team. And we need to plan prospecting activities in order to ensure that we continue to make new connections. So, reflect on your success, repeat. So if you're doing something that is successful, keep doing it. I know that Barbara and her upline do some recruiting and shopping centers. They're getting a lot of success out of that. So they repeat that. They do it over and over again. So if it works, keep it up. And then pursue your top customers, just like we said, by putting stickers on your books, but they already value Avon products. So why wouldn't they want to join your team? Why wouldn't they, if they have the inkling to earn more money by starting a home-based business, why would they not, since they already value Avon products, why would they not want to be part of your team? And then leverage your personal network, your family, your friends, people you know, whether you see them face to face or through social media, leverage that personal network. And then get involved in your community. So whether it's the PTA, your children's school, if you're a volunteer at a hospital or any other organizations, just get involved in your community and find things to do in your community. Always be on top of those kind of things. Join meetup groups. See what's happening in your neck of the woods, because the larger your network, the more opportunities you're going to have to grow your team. And then attend community events, job fairs, festivals. So you don't necessarily have to be part, like a vendor in the festival. It might be very expensive to be a vendor, but you better go to the festival and network, while you're there shopping and looking around. Job fairs tend to be pretty reasonable, and you'll get a lot of leads from participating in a job fair. But again, if it's an expensive venture, then certainly you don't have to be a vendor at the job fair or festival, as long as you go and network with the people that are there. Network with the vendors, network with the people that are participating, that are at the festival, at the job fair. So attend your community events, and if you can be part of it, then by all means, set up your table and show your product. You can sell and prospect, bring team members with you so that they get that experience with you as well. And then conduct fundraisers. Oh my goodness, even the smallest fundraiser will bring you lots of information. You'll get lots of leads, lots of customer leads that hopefully will also turn in to new team members as well. So conduct fundraisers with your schools, with sports teams, any nonprofit in your area. And then run regular opportunity meetings, or a lot of people call them mixers or beauty boss parties or beauty boss meetups, but help people see the opportunity. So let me pause for just a minute. Are there any other ideas that we didn't discuss right here that have been working for you?
Say anything about tailgating? Because my friend and I usually have great results from that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, tailgating definitely works. I think that you may have to be a little more cognizant to the area that you're doing the tailgating. So certainly, if you do it in front of the Goodwill store, you're going to get people that are shopping on a budget and may not have the network of people that you want to have, as far as a strong team member. So I think you have to be very realistic on where you're doing your tailgating, for sure. But I know that it works. In fact, I know that Barbara and Donna do that and get good results.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Good idea. Anybody else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. I mean, this is a big list, right? So I think we covered
Yeah.
probably all the good ideas. Okay, so I love this, but let's go ahead and focus on our plan for identifying potential leaders on our teams. So I first want to go ahead and define what it means for motivation and sales success. So motivation within your team are representatives in your downline that believe in Avon, that want to grow her team. Team members that are driven, they're coachable, they participate when you ask them to participate with you on events or activities. They're positive and they like helping others. And then sales success within your team are downline members who are growing their sales. They consistently place orders and they pay for their orders on time. They have many customers and they leverage Avon tools. So what I will challenge you to do, and if you want to now, go ahead and you can do a screenshot of this, take a picture of it with your cell phone, but I challenge you to do this grid on a piece of paper. So draw it out and then look at each of your team members. So go down your team and put their name on the grid based on their motivation and their sales success. So you might have people on your team that have been nested to you that you may not ever have spoken to. Maybe this might be giving you the opportunity to reach out to them and introduce yourself and sort of get a feel of their motivation. And of course, you can always look at their sales success by their history and look at their inquiry and figure out if they're consistently placing orders and if they pay on time and if their sales are good and how many customers they have and so forth. But write everybody's name on this grid. And what you're going to find is that the names that end up on the top right, they are going to be your potential leaders. They are going to be the people that are motivated and can sell, and they are going to be your next leaders. Those are the people that you want to focus on, who you want to work with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is sort of an easy little task, but it really does help you sort out your team. So, it might be easiest to go ahead and look at their sales success and starting, you can eliminate people there if they're not paying on time and they don't place an order every campaign. Maybe they're only placing an order every 2 or 3 campaigns. Well, then they're going to be low on the sales success and low on the motivation as well. So they are not even going to be considered. So those are the easy ones. You can get those out of the way and then concentrate on the rest of your team. All right, so now that we've determined how we can plan to grow our teams, let's shift our focus on planning our time and activities. So Avon time is the time you dedicate to your Avon business. And I know that we have a gazillion things that we're juggling around, right? We have family time and social time and time for yourself, right? You have to have some me time. And of course, your Avon time. And the only way that you can ensure that you achieve spending time with all of these people and all of these things that you want to do yourself and on your business, it is to plan. So you'll need to consider the time you'll need to achieve your goals and how much time you have available given your other responsibilities. So some of you work full time on your Avon business, some of you work part time, and maybe you vary your Avon time week to week or month to month. You may have busy families. I mean, I know Valerie, for example, she homeschools her children, so she has to factor in that as well. So we're all very busy. So you have to figure out all of those things in when you're planning and take all of those things into consideration. And as part of the application activities this week, you'll reflect on your goals and establish your Avon time. Kim and I shared, and actually it's attached to the webinar tonight, so you can download the document, but we shared a blank weekly planner with you, and we hope that it's going to help you during this entire process. So hopefully most of you have already been using it. If not, go ahead and pick it up in the next day or two and start filling it in. Look back maybe from what you've been doing the last few days and get it on that planner so that when you're doing your application guide, it's just going to help you with the process. And from here, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kim.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think you'll have to turn the slides for me though, Marie, because every time I try to control. It doesn't really give it to me, but I'll try.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, good. So now that we're talking about making the most of our Avon time, we want to talk further about how we actually spend our Avon time. It's important to get the most out of your personal dedicated Avon time. So think about your current Avon time. This is the time that you spend working on your Avon business. And if you take a look at the activities on the slide and the examples under those, under planning, selling, managing, and leading, you want to ask yourself some questions. So you want to think about, well, how much or what percentage of my Avon time am I spending doing these things? What percentage am I planning? What percentage of my Avon time am I selling, managing, and leading? So who can share with me what percentage of your Avon time you are doing one of these activities? Would somebody like to share? Just off the top of your head when you think about it. Gosh, I do this a lot. So who would like to share? You have to come off a mute. I see Mary is typing in the chat box for me. Mary is saying that she spends 50% of her Avon time doing, I don't know what. What, Mary? What are you spending 50% of your Avon time doing? Oh, 50% of her time total on Avon. Okay, so while you are working through this application guide, you're going to want to consider your Avon time separately from all of your time, but it is good to figure out how much time you are spending each week on Avon. So that's a good starting point. Now, we recommend that you spend 50 to 75% of your time on your personal side of your business, and then 20 to 50% of your time leading your team. So you want to determine what is the right. If you have a smaller team, then you might spend closer to 75% of your time on the personal side of your business, the planning, selling, and managing, and then the 25% of your Avon time on the leading part of your team. So if you have a large team, then it may come out where you are spending a higher percentage of your time leading your team than you are on planning, selling, and managing. So once you determine how you will balance your time between your personal business and leading your team, you need to consider then how much of your selling time you spend on selling products versus the Avon opportunity, because both of those fall under selling. If you look at the slide, you'll see under selling you have product focus activities, and then you have opportunity activities where you're actually recruiting. So we encourage you to divide your selling time equally between both of those, and that will help you grow your team as well as your sales. So while you're putting your activities on the worksheet, the log of daily activities, just jot down anything you might be doing that's related to your Avon business so that you can then determine where, and Mary's saying, yes, she has some changes to make. I think all of us kind of fall into that spot, Mary, for sure. But while you're jotting down your activities, it will give you a really good visual of what are you actually doing, and then how much time going forward do you really want to spend doing those items. Okay, so let's see if I can go to the next slide. Nope, I still need Marie. Thank you, Marie. All right, so once you understand how you should balance your activities, it's important to actually plan what you're going to do. So writing down all of your planned activities, and then you that gives you an opportunity to be able to prioritize them, reflect on your activities, break them down into tasks when possible, and the more specific you are while you're doing this, the better. So smaller tasks are more actionable and less intimidating. So for example, an activity might be that you plan to participate in a local holiday bazaar. I know Kim Cooper has one of those coming up I believe it's this weekend. So then the tasks related to that activity might include sending a confirmation to the event coordinator, getting the product and the catalogs together for the bazaar, and then planning your outfit for the bazaar. So once you break it down into the smaller tasks, it is a whole lot easier to accomplish those than to just think about that you have all of this that you need to do for an event or an activity. It just makes it less intimidating. And I see a lot of things happening in the chat room over here. So let's see. Mary spent 5 hours making gifts to go. And remember on the previous slide where we were talking about how your Avon activities may fluctuate depending on the time of the year and what you have going on. So that's okay. Your percentage of time that you spend on those different things, planning, selling, managing, and leading, can change as you go along. Okay, let's see our next slide. Okay, so this is the moment where you can gain control by taking the right actions. And in order to manage your time more effectively, it's important that you prioritize your tasks. Remember those little tasks that we had, and schedule them on your calendar. So in this example, the image to the right is a prioritization framework that allows you to consider tasks based on their importance and their urgency. So urgency is defined based on what is occurring within a campaign. That's urgent, obviously. And tasks that are beyond this campaign have a longer runway, and so they can be considered not urgent. Importance is then measured based on what will grow your business, and then the tasks that are less important but essential to run or maintain your business. So is this kind of helpful that we're looking at this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So the tasks that you have to do in any given Avon day or any given Avon week, they should be bucketed into a specific corner when you are working through this planning module and through your application guide. And then an action is taken against that task. So for example, in the bottom left, we have less important and not urgent. So these tasks should be delegated if possible. And in this example, we have sending a team newsletter, training your downline on products, reorganizing files on your computer, those kinds of things. If you can delegate those and some other tasks that you'll find as you're going along, then that would give you more time, would free you up to do some of the more urgent and important things, right? So the bottom right, we have less important, but still urgent. And these are mainly administrative tasks. So a lot of times you can cluster those together or batch them together to schedule within a time slot each week. Responding to a customer complaint, placing and delivering orders, you probably batch those tasks together already kind of naturally because you have your order day and then you have your deliveries lined up. One of the other tasks that they have here, for example, is answering questions from your downline. So those kinds of things can be clustered, which helps to minimize the burden because you're setting aside time each week. Then we have our top left, which is our important and not urgent. So these tasks should be scheduled in the future. It might be planning a team meeting, maybe, focusing on your duplication of your downline members, holding coaching conversations with your downline, attending a recruiting event. So while it is very important, it may not be urgent because it may not be within this campaign. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, good. And then finally, we have the top right, important and urgent. And these should be an area of focus for you because they are happening within this campaign and they are urgent to the growth of your business. Some of the examples here are sales calls to key customers, coaching your leaders with titles at risk, and following up on no orders. So if you follow what happened here was our leader here made a to-do list of things that she needed to do. My to-do list consists of sticky notes stuck everywhere all over my desk. So don't do that one. Make your to-do list and then decide whether each item is important and urgent or not urgent, or less important and still urgent or not urgent. So hopefully this will give you a way to follow. And I believe, actually, I'm not looking at the application guide, but this is probably another good slide to take a picture of for when you are completing your application guide. So we'll give everybody a minute to do that just in case they want to. And we can always send out just one slide to you too if you need it. Does anybody have any questions while we're here? Because this is where, you know, what do you say, where it's the something meets the road or meets the highway? This is it. Okay, I don't see, let me check.
Kim, they have this in the application guide.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I thought I remembered it being there. I did. I thought I remembered that. That's good. All right, so we can go to our next slide.
The to-do list in there?
Yeah, the little example, that slide is there, that example. So, okay, so we want to set ourselves up for success by limiting distractions and by creating and managing some boundaries. So right when I said that, I immediately thought of, you know, my office is right here in the front of my house, and so kids and dogs and husband, I was going to say husbands, but I only have the one. Husbands and people are coming through all the time. So when I saw distractions, that made me think of that. All right, but let's consider some additional things that we can do to set you up for success. So continuing to focus on the more important and urgent tasks. So every so often, each quarter or so, when you see some warning signs in your business, you want to take that opportunity to look at the tasks that you're completing each week. So you want to, every once in a while, you want to stop and say, hey, you know, can any of these be delegated, scheduled, or clustered? You know, because sometimes we'll fall into new routines, things will start happening, we'll change something. So every once in a while, maybe every quarter, you want to take another look at what you're doing to decide what can you delegate, schedule, or cluster. Setting some appropriate expectations when you're out of the office. So we want to make sure that those we engage with feel that we're being responsive, even if we're not out of the office. What are some of the ways that, or even if when we're out of the office, what are some of the ways that we can do that? Because you guys get a lot of calls, right? From customers, from your recruits, your downline members. So when you are out of your office, how can you make them feel you're being responsive? I can hear somebody in the background, but I don't hear anybody talking.
Oh.
Well, what can we do?
Well, one thing, I give my downline my text number or my cell phone, so even if I'm not in my office, they can reach me. And if I can't talk to them right then and there, at least I can call them back as soon as possible if they leave a message.
Perfect. Perfect. And then if you're going to be going on vacation or for a long period of time, you can set your out of office email or let your downline members know, especially your customers know that you're going to be gone. So when you are in your office or working your Avon business, you want to create some hours that you are open to your downline. This might be a really good way for those of you who have specific office days to let them know that you're available, you know, I don't know, every Monday morning from 10 to noon, and then every other day, you know, late afternoon or early evening, whatever works best for you. And you want to give that opportunity because it gives you a benefit by controlling distractions throughout the day or the week. Because if you're always being distracted by this call, this call, this call, this call, then you cannot have the time that you need to plan and build your business. So, you know, it may take a little bit of an adjustment if you decide that you want to have some actual, you know, quote, office hours with specific call times. But your team members will also learn how to become self-sufficient, right? And then lastly, you want to find a dedicated space where you can work, something that's calming and quiet. And it's going to be different for every one of you. It's going to be, like in this example, maybe a coffee shop. I know people that spend a lot of time at Starbucks, or it could be a restaurant, or maybe even a hotel lobby, or it could be somewhere in your home where you're able to shut the door. So renting a conference room is even on this list. Do any of you already have places that you go regularly to work your Avon business so that you're not distracted? Joanne says she does. Where are you going, Joanne? I don't know. I don't know. Joanne says she might be doing the Starbucks thing. Mary's going to start Starbucks. Oh, Joanne goes to her room. Yes, that's when you give yourself a timeout, right? So that you can work your Avon business. Mary's got her office in her house, right? So do I. Just seriously, right here in the front of the house. Okay, good. So, you know, give yourself permission to set yourself up for success by limiting some distractions. Okay. All right, our next slide. So here's an example. All of your planning is going to come together on your calendar, and it becomes your roadmap for getting the right stuff done to achieve your goals. Here is an example of a 2-week calendar, and you can see that this leader marked her Avon times in purple, and she planned a balance of activities and tasks to achieve the success and her goals that she's going for. She obviously is working a part-time job already and focuses her Avon business in the very middle of her days when her kids are out of the house. So once you complete your 2-week calendar, it's important to reflect and ask yourself the questions that you see here. You know, does my calendar reflect the right balance of activities and tasks to achieve my short-term and my long-term goals? Am I planning to be busy or productive? Ooh, that's a very important question, because we can be busy, we can be very busy, but are we being productive as well? So ask yourselves those hard questions. Can I delegate any of these tasks? That is the hardest thing to do sometimes, because we want to do all of it ourselves because we feel like we are the only one who can do it exactly right the way we want it done. Yeah, Mary says, yes, it is. But sometimes when we delegate something to another team member or another family member that has some really great strengths in some areas, such as like your newsletter or something like that, you may be pleasantly surprised to find that they do a wonderful job and they gain confidence as they go. Another question to ask yourself: did I mark time for handling a cluster of tasks that are urgent but not important? Am I setting proper boundaries to be effective with my time? That's my big one. So in her calendar, she actually has on her calendar making the 5 contacts. So you can see it in her calendar every day. Some of the other things that she has here is meeting with her upline over lunch. Then on Monday of the second week, she has from 10 to 11 planning her week. That's a great way to start your Monday, because hopefully you kind of already know what you're going to do, but then you need to sit down every Monday and take another look at it just very quickly and make sure that you've got the right tasks in the right places. So this is a great example. All right, let's take our next slide.
Hey, Kim, before we move to the next slide, which is I'm going to go ahead and bring up the application guide. I'd love to make a
Yeah, I was
point.
going to ask you that.
Yeah, I'd love to make a point about this calendar. And I think it's, it's just really important to see how, for example, if you look at where she's trying to make her contacts, where it says make 5 contacts, you can see how she has them like on different days, different times. So I think that is really smart because sometimes, you're calling people during the day and you're not, reaching them. So she's moved it to the afternoon, instead of the morning. So I love that she's mixed it up on different days and different times. So I think it's really important that you, take that into consideration while you're making your contacts or reaching out to your leads. If you are, getting ALMA leads or buying ALMA leads, or you have leads from an event that you've done, don't give up. If you keep calling them at the same time on the same day and they're not answering, then you need to change it up to a different day and time until you reach them. But I thought that was pretty smart.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks great. But it's okay to mix it up, but get it on there so you'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so are you going to bring up the application guide and I can let you run through that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so the application guide looks rather long, but don't let it scare you because it's just, covering all the information, getting all the information that you need in order to make a good plan. So in the beginning, we were talking about finding your potential team members by doing that quadrant, that grid. So this is where you're going to put their names, your potential team members who might be interested in joining Avon, right? And then team growth activities. What will you do to find new team members? And again, remember to reflect on your successes and repeat that. Pursue your top customers, leveraging your personal network, getting involved in your community, attending community events, conducting fundraisers, and then running regular Avon opportunities. So this is just asking you, what are you going to do? Are you going to do some of these things that are on the idea list, or there's some things that you're doing like the tailgating? Go ahead and just get those team growth activities on this list. All right, and then what team members are good leader candidates? So same thing there. Then planning your outreach, your Avon time. By using the planner that we gave you, and if you're not using that, maybe you're using something else, it's time for you to reflect on your goals for the upcoming campaigns and how much time do you need to dedicate to your Avon business to meet your goals. So we're going to ask you for your weekly Avon time commitment. So how many hours per week do you estimate you're going to need to work your Avon business in order to meet your goals? And your goals are what you set out for yourself in our last module. And then your balance of activities. And Kim covered this. This is probably the hardest part of this entire activity, is estimating the percentage of time that you spend now on each type of activity that's on this table. How much do you spend now on planning, selling products, selling the opportunity, managing, and leading? So make sure it adds up to 100. And then beneath that, what percentage of your time in the future? So once you have taken into consideration what you're doing, then you may, in order to change the results, you may want to change this up. So for example, if you know that you need to add more people to your team in order to get to your goal for a title advancement, or whatever your goal happens to be, then certainly if you've been putting maybe 70% of your time into selling products, you're probably going to want to take some of that time and put it into selling the opportunity, which is prospecting, going out and traditionally recruiting or, prospecting through social media, however you're going to sell the opportunity. So you're going to need to manage that percentage of time in planning, selling products, opportunity, managing, leading, in order to reach your goal. So, are you planning to spend 50 to 75% of your time on your personal business? Are you planning to spend 25 to 50% of your time working with your team? And are you spending equal amounts of time selling opportunity and selling products? So, the notes section is just for you to put down some notes about what you think there. All right. And before we wrap this up, in another couple slides, I'm going to bring this slide back because somebody did ask about that task list that was on the left, that you might want to take a picture of that, and that might give you an idea to help you put your things on this grid, whether it is not urgent or urgent beyond this campaign or for this current campaign. So getting all of this into the quadrants is going to help you figure out what's important, what's not important. And then your plan, your outreach, your activities. So this is going to be your opportunity to put everything on the grid. There's not a lot of room here, so you may have to abbreviate in order to get everything in. So based on your planned balance of activities, you need to write a list of the activities you plan to accomplish in the next 2 weeks. So you'll need to have a little task list, right? Break your activities down into small, actionable tasks. Create your task list and prioritize your tasks using the urgent versus important grid. So what tasks can you schedule in the future? What tasks can you delegate to whom? And of course, those of you with smaller teams, I know I saw somebody say, I don't have anybody to delegate to. But, there might be a family member that might be able to help you. Say, maybe your husband helps you deliver your orders. Maybe you have a teenager in the household that could actually help you call your customers to collect orders, or can check your email for you, or help put your order in online. So it doesn't actually have to be a downline member that you can delegate a task to. So if you have a family member or friend that can help you to free up time for you to spend in areas that you know that you need to focus on, by all means, you want to go ahead and delegate anything that you can. What tasks are your immediate focus, and what tasks can you cluster and set aside time to accomplish all at once? And Kim went through that for you as well. And then your setup, how will you set yourself up for success in managing your time? How will you limit distractions to make the most of your Avon time? And then your call to action: execute your plan for the next 2 weeks. Be prepared to share your results with your coach. What will you focus on? So we'll definitely talk about that during our one-on-one conversation. So this calendar needs to be filled out. And I know Kim probably had the same thing happen with her first class. Is that, I don't know about you, Kim, but I got a lot of, this page came back to me blank from almost everybody on my team, and I had to send it back out. So on this 2-week calendar, and if you've been keeping track of what you've been doing using that blank calendar that we sent you, this might be a lot easier. But enter the days and times that you typically work on your Avon business. Select which time slots you plan to dedicate to your Avon business, and enter your activities in the time slots. So you may have to start a calendar separate and put your personal life on it first, and then come to this so that you know that you're not overlapping or interfering with doctor's appointments or school activities with your children, or things that you're if you work, your work schedule. So you might want to have that handy when you come to do this calendar, make it a little bit easier. So week 1 and week 2. Of course, this is just future planning. So any questions about any of this before we move on? Okay. Awesome. Let me get the PowerPoint back up. All right, I'll go ahead and just wrap it up. So the hot topic question, we need for you to be prepared to answer this question at our upcoming group collaboration call, which is next week, is to share an experience in your past when you got lost. explain how it made you feel and how you overcame it. So, and think of this, it doesn't have to be like physically lost. It could also be like mentally, like maybe you were confused or you felt lost or, does that make sense? So I know that we had some really interesting stories in the past. So share an experience in your past when you got lost. Explain how it made you feel and how you overcame it. All right. And then a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that was from the author of The Little Prince. I'm not even going to try to say that name. I have no idea. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. But a goal without a plan is just a wish. All right, so I am going to go back to this previous slide, and I'll keep it up if you guys need to take a picture. But I'm going to open it right now if anybody has any questions or any concerns.
I have one question.
Sure, go Barbara.
On the homework page that says the percentage and it equals 100%. It's just to clarify, it's 100% of what we're working Avon or 100% of our time total. Like some of my day is personal for my family, and some, like I work so many hours a day for Avon, and then the rest is family time or cleaning house or whatever I have to do. So, but the 100% is just going to be of the time I spent with Avon, right?
That is correct. Yes. So so selling the product and opportunity, planning, managing, so all of that. When you put all of those tasks down, you're going to assign a percentage to it, and at the end, when you add that all up, it needs to come to 100%.
Okay.
Can I say something here too?
Sure.
One of the things that may help clarify this a little bit is if you decide that you are going to work your Avon business 20 hours a week, then if you put down that you're spending, 20% of your time on the planning part, then, that's 4 hours, 4 hours a week. That's may feel like a lot once you relate it to hours.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sometimes it's a little bit easier if you think of it in hours.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kim. Thanks. All right. Well, if you do have any questions that pop up between now and the end of the weekend as you're working on your application guide, just reach out to Kim or I. Don't forget that we need your homework returned no later than Sunday night so that we can prepare to have our one-on-one call with you next week. And if that's going to be it, again, I'm going to leave this webinar open for just a few more minutes in case you need to download any of the materials that we have that are uploaded here. Just go ahead and click, download that on your desktop, and then you'll have it. But if you should need us, please just let us know. All right, guys, have a good evening, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you. Good night.